Monica and Kim and I were all at ISTE ASCD Live 2026 in Orlando, which we lovingly refer to as ISTE. I've also heard people say ISTE, and I'm always like, oh, that's so much work. It's just ISTE to me. But it was my 12th ISTE. What about you two?
My third. I didn't go
Okay.
last year, but I did go the previous 2 years.
And this
Okay.
is my fifth.
Oh, awesome. Oh my goodness. And I know it's harder or easier to go sometimes depending on where it is, in the country. And so next year we're looking forward to Boston and the year after San Diego,
Can't wait
which
for
will be
San
on my
Diego.
coast. Yeah. Which will be really fun. So we wanted to share with everyone, and this will go on our YouTube channel for people to always, view later too, but some fun statistics from the event and of course our cutie group photo, which I just love. But ISTE announced in their press release, which I have sourced down here at the bottom of the slide, 15,000 attendees on site from 86 countries and all 50 states. I happen to know Cindy was there from Alaska, so we made sure we covered everyone. 2009 presenters this year, 355 students. That number, and I know that ISTE releases this every year, but how many people applied for a session or how many sessions were applied for and how many they accepted, and it's like a third. So, kudos if you got to present. It's definitely selective. We had 8 team members there, which was so fun, and we had 15 sessions among us, which was really cool. And then I added up, because we are all over the country, 5,870 miles to be there. So each person from home to Orlando was over 5,000 miles, almost 6. And finally, 424 exhibitors that you could visit in the expo hall, which I know Monica is going to talk about specifically. And that includes 35 exhibitors that they consider partners. So that means they've financially contributed, not just to have a booth, but in addition to that, maybe some advertising or whatever. I know Microsoft, Google, and Code AI, which is the new name for code.org, are the premier year-round solution partners. And then it just goes from there. So some fun stats to share. And then the big news, speaking of partnerships, I don't know if you all know the game, New Phone Who Dis, but that's sitting on my dining room table right now for teenagers playing it. But this is just a little joke. So ISTE announced a name change. And Kim was saying it was kind of received all over the map. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, I know that when they made the announcement, some of the comments that I saw were just saying what does one single word change mean? And there was kind of not great acceptance of it. But again, that was just the initial reaction that I saw when they were live on the announcement.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely am excited about the word transforming. I've been using it a lot with my AI optimism content and just trying to focus people on, moving from substitution tools into something that really makes a difference. So I'm excited about that word. I just fear it's getting overused, a little cliche at times. I hope it means what we think it means.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Monica?
Well, and also if it's, ISTE's been known as the biggest tech conference that we have here in the US. London has BET, and BET actually went to South America this year also. And I've heard a rumor that they might be coming to the US also. So
They are sure
that might
doing
make a
that.
difference.
They are.
Nashville
But-
2027. Keep
Right.
going.
But so I'm just saying is if people are expecting it, how much are they going to promote about tech? How are they changing what the presentations will be? So it'll be interesting to see what guidelines come out when people are putting in proposals to present next year.
But I think-
Monica, I hadn't even thought about that.
I was just going to say, I think though that transforming can cover tech, because we don't want tech just for the sake of tech, right? We
Right.
want it to transform what we're doing in the classroom.
Absolutely. That's why I said I do love that word. I think that's what we all want to be as educators. We want our classrooms to be places where we put pedagogy first and tools second, you know. But
Mhm.
it'd just be interesting to see how
Yeah.
what happens.
Yeah. I know I kind of feel, a little bit sad for the ASCD crowd because they had their own event and
Hmm.
now it's like merged and they were talking about it's like co-hosted. But the reality is it was a smaller event and really focused on pedagogy, not on tech. And so I do think it's tricky to merge that. I feel like it's a lot of school systems where they're trying to put instructional technology in with IT and it doesn't really fit. And then they're trying to put it in with
Hmm.
instruction and it doesn't really fit there either. Try to be a bridge.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. I didn't think about applications though. That's interesting. So I asked AI course. Okay, come on. Come on, little slide. There we go. I asked AI to give me the top three themes from the event based on it went and scrubbed social media, press releases, the web, like what are people talking about? I did a whole analysis and it came up with three things. AI, obviously, but it came up with AI with purpose and guardrails specifically,
Mhm.
which I thought was kind of cool. Evidence and impact and educator agency. So reaction on that? Like what did you see in here?
Yep. I think those are some of the things that I heard repeatedly talked about during the conference, especially the evidence and impact and like stepping away from like, we're using this tool to how is this tool benefiting students and extending their learning.
Mm-hmm.
And AI was everywhere. I mean, it was the front and foremost thing that you saw, no matter where I went in the expo hall. AI,
Mm-hmm.
and like you said, even some are changing their name, you know, some companies are changing their name. So it was definitely there. And it was like a product that might have been just promoted as its tool. Now it's like, what can AI do in this tool? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
definitely saw a lot of that.
Well, yeah, because we're not having the conversation of should we use AI anymore. It's how do we use it and how do we protect privacy for students and making sure that they're using it responsibly.
And that's a good
Mm-hmm.
thing, actually, you know, because it's here, and that being informed about best practices and guardrails and keeping students safe and keeping teachers safe and all of those things are so important.
Hi, Disha. Good to see you.
Hey, Tisha.
Hello. Good to
Feel
see
free to
you.
chime in. This
Sorry,
is no, you're
jumping in
good.
late.
This is open discussion. And it is recorded and put on our YouTube later. Just a reminder.
Mhm.
But it's we were just talking about the themes that we saw popping out, and I asked AI to like scrub social media and the press releases and everything and come up with three themes. And we were just talking about that. And I've noticed, I feel like these things are so intertwined now, where, the human in the loop is a very big deal. And everyone with AI is really making sure to say, and then you, the teacher, have, the autonomy and you, the teacher, have the final say. And I love that. And then, there's this heavy emphasis on, okay, you, the teacher, are choosing the right tool. And then how is it actually working with kids? Like that's the evidence and impact part of we don't care if your tool, I'm going to say it because I can, but like, okay, Pearson, we don't care that you have an AI chatbot on your PDF. Like, move on. And of course, iReady has come under great scrutiny for there's no evidence and impact. Like, it's not there. So I love that educators are being told, like, you get to choose if it's reliable and good for your students. What is the actual evidence? And then finally, using it well and with common sense and like keeping kids safe. I feel like it's all connected.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's my big podium. Um, yeah, I don't know, Tisha, if you want to jump in and say anything. We're just talking about what we
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah, I feel like this ISTE, I was running around so much that I didn't go to as many sessions as I really wanted to. I was in a lot of conversations with educators where the conversation in the classroom with students is really important, because kids are not necessarily wanting to use AI. So you have both ends
Mhm.
of the spectrum. You have some kids that are all about it, and you have some kids that are like very much opposed to it.
Mhm.
And what do those conversations look like in the classroom with kids? And and I've noticed that in my own classroom this year, that I definitely have two very different sides of different viewpoints from kids on how they feel about it. So that I found myself in a lot of conversations with educators talking about that. So
Isn't it an
I
interesting swing? How
Mhm.
I'm just thinking about, 10, 20 years ago when we first gave students devices and we like couldn't get them off of it, you know?
Right.
And now there's the big, of course, conversation around screen time versus screen value, which I can appreciate very much. And then now we have this generation of kids who are like, I don't want it. Like, give
Mhm.
me all my social media, but I don't want to use AI. They're
Yeah,
drowning in Snapchat and TikTok, but they're like, don't touch Gemini. I don't know.
it is really interesting. And I mean, so many are concerned about the environmental impact and just different things that I don't know. I think I was kind of taken aback by that a little bit in my own classroom, and how strong opinions were,
Mhm.
and it's just kind of interesting to navigate, as we bring it into the classroom, like how are we guiding those discussions, and what kind of, you know, what kind of conversations do we want to have, and what information do we have to give them to help them make their own choices too, as
Mhm.
they're using it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I wanted to just point out, first of all, we've got photos in here of all of us, which is really fun. I was able to pop into a couple of things, and I know Nathan from our team, who's out this week with his family, but he hit a lot of events. But I just wanted to point out, like, there's so much to do at ISTE, and there were over 400, I believe, streamed sessions also for the virtual. And I had one stream, not this year, but in previously, which is a really fun way to just include more people. But I this year I heard a lot of people talking about the posters and playgrounds
Yeah.
specifically. And that I think is a shift where people used to before like really target the sessions. And now it was this very like, no, I wanted the playgrounds. I want to just be able to like pop in, pop out. I don't know. And Kim, I know you were saying the posters really made it for you.
Yeah, the playgrounds and the poster sessions. And I think it's because, like, as an educator, I don't want to sit and get for an hour while you just talk
Mhm.
at me. I want to be immersed in the atmosphere of whatever it is that I'm supposed to be learning about. And so if you're telling me about a new game or something like that, I want to try it out. I want to see how it might work. I want to talk to you one on one and say, like, okay, listen, this is my teaching situation, how would you use it in this environment? And I think that you get that personalization when you go to the playgrounds or the poster sessions. Plus, I really loved all the kids that were there. This
Uh,
was my first time going to bet, and kids were everywhere. And so when I saw them at ISTE, I was like, oh my gosh, we're bringing it. It's like a trend. We're going to do it here. And I really liked it. I liked them being able to tell me how they were using the tools and how they were learning and how they benefited from what they were doing with the different educational tools that they were using. So that
Mhm.
was my takeaway.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the kids. I loved seeing kids everywhere. And I went to one of the main stages where they were sharing the apps that they created. I mean, absolutely mind blowing what these kids are creating. It was
Mhm.
so inspiring. And they were so poised and so articulate in the way that they were communicating. It was amazing.
Yeah,
And
I was just
yeah.
going to say, it totally got me thinking about bringing my students next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would have been much easier this year since it's like just in our backyard, sort of. But who knows?
Mhm.
Who knows how it might work out. But
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with the playgrounds. I was able to participate in a few playgrounds this year and really enjoyed it, but also really enjoyed just chatting and walking around. And I think that you're right. It's that the conversational piece, like you're able to ask the questions that you want to ask one on one. It's not the sitting and getting your it's more personal, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's
Because
that's
you
how it felt.
yeah. So that was something that I hadn't done a lot of in the past either. And I found myself, and I think too, because time is so tricky at ISTE, and that, for me, I had presentations and they were kind of awkwardly spaced. And so, I'd be presenting and then off. I'm like, okay, I can fit this one session in and heading there. And then, of course, you have an amazing, run in with somebody that you haven't seen forever. And you end up having a great conversation. And before you know it, you're like, okay, well, I missed that one. And it's okay because you're having this amazing conversation. But with a playground and posters, you can just kind of dip in, stay as long as you need to, and then dip out and go to the next thing.
Yep. Yep. Plus with the playgrounds and the posters, I don't think you can get those virtually anything about them. Whereas the sessions, a bunch of those, what did you say? How many sessions are available virtually?
I think it said 400 in the press
Yeah.
release.
So that also helped me make the decision of where to spend my time. Is like, what am I not going to have access to once I leave ISTE, and what can I access at home?
Yeah.
Absolutely. How long are those available, the virtuals or the streamed?
I thought I read 6 months, but don't quote me on that.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember it wasn't a full year before, because when mine was posted, later I shared it out and was like, if you missed ISTE, you can watch it here. But I remember thinking it'd be nice if they went like all the way to the next conference, but I don't think they did. So 6 months sounds right. I don't know. Monica, you had an expo only pass, which I think we should point out to everyone, those are free.
Those are free. I
Which
was
is
never in a district that would pay for me to go to ISTE, and I never knew. If I had known about the free Expo Hall Pass, I probably would have gone sooner, but I found out in 2022. And I was one of those people that used to watch Flips live on my computer and just say, "Oh, I wish I was there." Well, in 2022, if you remember in New Orleans, that was like the biggest one. That's when they changed from Flipgrid to Flip and had the big. So, but I found out that I could go for free. And so, yeah, you can use your points or miles or whatever. If it's close enough, you can drive. So that saves a little bit of money. Plus, now that I'm retired and I have my own LLC, those are all great tax deductions, so that's good too. But you can do so much learning just in the expo hall, and you can still see the way they moved, especially this year, they moved the poster presentations right out in front. So anybody who had an expo hall, you literally have to come down the escalator and go right past them. So I was able to see those also, which was great.
Yeah.
Not the playground sessions, but definitely the poster sessions. So I got to talk to people and see what they were doing. And I actually wanted to stop and talk to them because a lot of them didn't have people stopping by. So I wanted to go and see what they were doing and that kind of thing. And but just in the expo hall, going to sessions like at Adobe, and you were talking about kids, there was this great session with teachers and their students and what they did in using Adobe. And then there's the of course Microsoft, like all the updated information, you can go to a session there and get it right from the horse's mouth, kind of. So they're really giving you all the latest updates and learning from them. And then you can also like request the PowerPoints to be sent to you so you can really delve into them a little bit more. And then I love to volunteer also. So I spend time volunteering which is great, because then I actually ran into one of the teachers that I used to support as a tech coach in my district. So we ended up having lunch together. I ran into who was in your session, one of my former she was an assistant principal at my school. Now she's a principal, and making those connections and saying, hey, let me know about this, or let me know about this, and staying in touch with those people. So that was great too. And then of course, all the people we know from all the different communities we're in, like Microsoft Elevate and Lumio ambassadors and Adobe ambassadors and things like that. Just being able to run into those people, give hugs, say hello, and just see what's happening in their worlds and what they're doing in their districts to just keep on top of things and learning more.
Yeah.
And that's a whole lot of value compared to the $900 registration that if you
And
registered like the week before.
sit and get, you learn more from talking with people and having those conversations and sharing ideas. And I just love that part.
There's
Yeah.
so many sessions in the expo hall, all the little
Yeah.
booth talks,
Mhm.
like is what at Bet, that's all there is
Mhm.
expo hall and little like mini sessions.
Mhm.
There are no, and then they don't charge at all. So interesting,
Mhm.
it's just a totally different model. Well, with time remaining,
Oh,
I feel free to, still be adding, but I have 3 kind of challenge words for us here. Why is it not? Here we go. So I thought we could maybe share, and you can think about it, but just one like thing, like one, kind of takeaway, and each take a couple minutes to share. And I thought I wanted to just kind of validate for people, like it could be something really positive, like I saw this thing, it's amazing. It could be something you're curious about, like have more questions and now kind of want to go, maybe discover or learn more. Or it could be a challenging thing, like, hey, this was maybe not ideal, or it didn't land well, or I saw this app and I was like, I don't know. Or, we wouldn't call out an individual, but like I went to this session and this was the theme and I wasn't sure I agreed with that. Like, I think those are all good things to share because we should be open to having those conversations. So, Tisha, Monica and Kim got a heads up on this because I knew they were going
Can I share a
to.
challenging first?
Yes, I would love that.
Okay, so there was this one tool that I would want personally. It was called the X tool. Now, if you were able to stop at the Microsoft AI booth, you got to make a luggage tag with the laser.
Yes.
Well,
I
that's
always
what
had a
they were.
huge line, by the way. I didn't
Okay.
get to
yes.
Well,
huge line.
that's what they were using, this X tool, and it was $1,500. So I was trying to figure out a way, how could I afford this? So I was they said, oh, if you talk to this guy, he sells them cheaper, but I never got to talk to the guy. But to me, so challenging would be, even if I didn't want it personally, let's say I really did want it for my classroom, sometimes the prices are challenging. And and you wonder how some school districts can afford some of the things that are out there that make learning fun and interesting and engaging and that kind of thing. So that was my challenging.
Yeah. Phygital, right? That's the whole
Mm-hmm.
point of Phygital Labs
Yeah.
is to have like actual hands-on, even if it's just sketching on paper or having a conversation, like something outside of a screen along with something digital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and budget is just always a challenge, right?
It
Well,
is.
can I say a positive related to that?
Yeah.
So I was super excited to see Pokemon there this year. My youngest is almost 15 and he plays Pokemon every single day. It's made this huge comeback amongst that age group. And what was exciting about it is that they didn't just say like let's play Pokemon. They explained like your students can improve their math skills because you have to, if you have direct hit points, you have to subtract points, and you have to be able to add and figure stuff out like that. And they were just given like all these great examples of how you could actually use it in the classroom and not just be playing cards, right? And the best part, I think, though, is going back to what Monica was saying about how expensive things are. They're actually giving the entire kit away for free to all ISTE members who want to start a club at their school.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was very excited about that. I loved how it was all hands-on. There was no like computer involved at all, and just all the great examples they were giving. And they were even talking about like just being so creative, like creating your own Pokemon like figure, making your own card. That's art right there, right? That's using the creative side of our brains, and then learning to write about it and stuff like that. So I really liked it. I'm gonna give it a shot this fall.
Oh, good for you. That's so fun. Oh my
That's
goodness.
super
And
fun.
you could even have your son come in and be like, help get the club stuff.
I tried to
like
ask him, I said, hey, if I start this Pokemon club, will you be like my expert? And he's like, no.
Oh, oh, come on. Those younger kids would look up to him so much of like, he's older, he knows what's up. That'll happen, I feel like. Well, I will share a curious. There there are so many AI tools, right? Like everybody's got an AI tool now. And I've heard these different, not to like start rumors, but just rumblings about like we know we've got our big 2 to 3 tech companies in education, maybe four, and you start to wonder like when there's feature parity, what happens to the smaller, amazing tools? Because right now, there's tools that have really like Brisk or Magic School or School AI or whatever, like they've invested in specific things that make their platform shine.
Mm-hmm.
And the big ones, the Microsoft, the Google, the Canva, the Adobes, they're also investing in the same technology, and everyone is running off the same technology right now. So it really is like if someone chooses to put in the engineering time, they also have that feature. It's not hard. And I've even asked the question of different companies like, oh, are you going to add image generation? And they'll just roll their eyes and go, oh yeah, it's just an API. Like it's just a plugin. They don't have to do anything to add those features. It's just, again, a little bit of engineering time to plug in an API. So I'm curious, like what that means for the future of tools, because, if we think about like a productivity stack, it's Microsoft or Google. Like that's what you have, right? And a little bit of Apple and a little bit of Canva for productivity, but really we have 2. So is AI going to end up that way as well? I don't think anyone knows the answer, but it's interesting for me to think about because I use a variety of AI tools because they shine in different ways.
Right.
But I think if you love a particular program or platform, for example, Lumio, right? Lumio has very engaging lessons with students. They're very interactive. So they've now added AI for their teachers to help create lesson plans, going with standards, to create unit plans, to create and to already build those engaging activities that Microsoft doesn't have. They have their flashcards and they have a few things, but they don't have all those interactive activities that Lumio has. I would think that teachers will still go back to Lumio. It's not an expensive tool to have if your district doesn't pay for it, even on your own. It's not that much. And I'm thinking probably the same with School AI. If you're used to that and you like it, I think teachers will still go back to that. Because I think that's what the big companies haven't perfected yet, in those types of things, in my
Is
opinion.
really tailoring it for education.
Yeah.
And engagement for students, like keeping them active and involved.
Yeah. And well, I was also going to say, I think as a classroom teacher, it all comes down to how much does it cost? So for me as an educator, is it free? Because if so, then I might give it a try over something that I would have to pay for. And also as a classroom teacher, like I don't get to choose the technology for my district that they give us access to. So I may see a tool that I absolutely love and think could do 27 different things for me, but if I can't access it through my district, then I can't use it. It's not for me.
Right.
Yeah. That's so true. When I think about just like Magic School and Brisk, like I use both of them for different reasons, right? Like I love the student rooms in Magic School. I teach career and technical ed and culinary, and so that's been really fun for them to engage in that way. And then I love the podcast, generating podcasts in Brisk, and I upload a recipe and it creates a whole podcast based on the science behind the recipe that my students are making, and then having my students sketch note that. So like very, very different ways that I'm using each of those tools. And then there's like the Canva, which I'm in for a lot of different reasons throughout the day. So I think it's true. All of those things are true. Depends on what your school is going to allow you to have access to, the price point, and what you
Yep.
teach and what is going to make the most sense for
Yep.
your classroom.
Yep. Totally true.
Well, we're about end of time, and I just can't believe how much we filled the 30 minutes. That was not hard, right? Thanks so much for joining and sharing. We are done with ISTE 2026. I haven't posted my recap to social media. I still need to do that, but otherwise, I feel like we're wrapping that up. Phygital Labs will be at Serious Play next in August. We always like to end our conference recaps with where we'll be next. I'll be there, and Deb Fuller from our team will also be at Serious Play in Raleigh. It's being hosted at Duke University. And I'm speaking, and I invited Deb to be on the panel, so that'll be a ton of fun, along with a couple other representatives from game development community. So that'll be great. And Phygital Labs is a sponsor of that event as well. So I'm excited, looking forward to being there. And then, as always, we would love to work with you. This whole team of people at Phygital Labs do great work. In fact, Monica and Kim and I were talking about the events from earlier today that Diana is headed to. We've all been busy presenting, and we'd love to connect with your school. So let us know if we can do anything for you. And thanks everyone for joining. Great to see your faces, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thank you.